I was in my bathrobe, sipping my first coffee, when a red tag on my front gate caught my eye like a warning flag. It read, "Notice of violation. Unauthorized use of private recreational facility." I blinked, thinking I was still half asleep. But there it was, my own pool, my own backyard, and somehow I was breaking a rule. The absurdity almost made me laugh, but at 6:42 a.m., it wasn't funny. This was the third time this week Marjorie Tate, the HOA's self-appointed queen, had targeted me with her clipboard and smug grin. The first incident was silly. Marjorie knocked on my door, holding an HOA pamphlet and a measuring tape, asking if I knew my pool's water level was 2 inches above Maple Grove's visual uniformity guidelines. I asked, straight-faced, if she was tracking evaporation now. She didn't blink, just marked her clipboard and said a notice was coming. I brushed it off as petty, mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 was thinking she wouldn't escalate. She did, fast. Marjorie had named herself chairwoman of the HOA Compliance Committee, an unofficial role no one else wanted. She printed a badge and held meetings at her garage, passing her iPad like a sacred rulebook. I grabbed the red notice and read the fine print. Pool use disturbing auditory and visual piece. Needed HOA approval. A smiley face sat by her signature. Marjorie T., acting committee chair. Who puts a smiley on a violation? The pool hadn't even been used, no parties, no kids, just my quiet evening swims. Yet here I was, fined for swimming in my own backyard. I sat on my back deck, coffee in hand, as my golden retriever, Buddy, flopped beside me, groaning like he was tired of Marjorie's nonsense too. I scratched his ears, muttering, "She wants to play? Okay, let's play." Maple Grove's HOA was strict. Flower colors sparked fights, hedges had to be 3 feet tall, and someone once got fined for a clashing wreath. Marjorie didn't care about my pool. She wanted control, micromanaging every inch like it was her personal project. At 10 a.m., I heard Marjorie's clogs clicking up her driveway. Through my open window, her humming drifted as she watered her perfect flower pots. She paused, squinting at my pool's blue shimmer, scribbled on her clipboard and glanced around. I sipped my coffee and waved lazily. She didn't wave back. That afternoon, an HOA email invited me to a special committee meeting at Marjorie's, titled, "Excessive Pool Use Violations and Environmental Concerns." I nearly choked. Environmental concerns? I forwarded it to my neighbor Tom, adding, "You coming to the circus?" He replied with a popcorn emoji. Front row. The next morning, I entered Marjorie's garage, 3 folding chairs, a whiteboard with her name underlined, and stale cookies on a table. She stood, smirking, flipping through blurry photos. My pool at dusk, an inflatable flamingo, me swimming. She ranted about pools disrupting aesthetic harmony and causing noise pollution. Neighbors stifled laughs. One coughed to cover a chuckle. Marjorie showed a chart claiming my pool was 30% more reflective than the average. I realized she wasn't just annoying, she was obsessed. When she paused, I stood calmly. "Marjorie, what should I do? Drain the pool? Fill it with sand?" Her lips pursed. "Get permission for recreational use," she said. I smiled, nodded, and said, "Okay, no one will swim in it again." That night, by the pool's moonlit glow, I searched how to turn a backyard pool into a wildlife pond. The results made me grin. If Marjorie wanted compliance, I'd give her something she couldn't handle. Not by draining the pool, but by making it a legal, eco-friendly frog pond. The next morning, I felt calm, not resolution, but the calm of choosing offense over defense. I'd follow the rules, so strictly Marjorie would choke on her own bylaws. I called my cousin Jake, an environmental landscaper. HOA trouble, he guessed. I explained my plan. Turn my pool into a state-approved wildlife pond, a frog-filled eco-haven. Genius, he laughed. No permits needed if it's native species. I spent hours researching frog ponds, aquatic plants, and ecosystems. Online forums buzzed with nature lovers who'd done this. My motive wasn't pure, but I'd play the part. At a nursery, I bought water lettuce, duckweed, reeds, and native plants for shade and oxygen. The cashier laughed when I explained I was converting my pool to spite the HOA. Back home, I drained half the water, scrubbed the concrete, neutralized chlorine, and added plants and stones. It looked like a marsh, not a pool. That evening, I admired my work, not pretty yet but promising. I imagined Marjorie's face. At 8:03 a.m., Marjorie gasped from her fence, storming to my gate. I made her wait, then opened it with a smile. "Morning, Marjorie. What's happening to your pool?" she demanded. "It's not a pool, it's a frog pond. Better for the environment," I said sweetly. Her eyes twitched. "You can't turn it into a swamp." "It's a certified natural water garden," I replied. "Chemical-free, wildlife positive. Note that for your complaint." She huffed, muttering about health hazards, and left. I kept building. A wooden platform, a solar fountain, native snails for algae. Jake brought tadpoles. Releasing them felt official. This was a pond. At Marjorie's next meeting, Tom said she showed a duckweed photo, claiming it bred mosquitoes. I'd prepared, sharing pamphlets proving healthy ponds reduce mosquitoes with predators like frogs. Her argument flopped. Neighbors grew tired of her. Susan, a neighbor, stopped by. "My kids love the tadpoles," she said. Her words hit deep. This was becoming more than revenge. That evening, Marjorie knocked, falsely polite. "The HOA is considering new water feature guidelines," she said, smiling tightly. I handed her a printout from the state website. Ponds for native species are protected under the Urban Wildlife Encouragement Act. It's illegal to tamper with them. Her jaw dropped. "Want a pond tour?" I offered. She left silently. The first frog arrived 3 days later, small and green, croaking proudly on a stone. 3 more joined, peeking from lily pads. Their nightly chorus grew, a rebellion against Marjorie's rules. She shouted about decibel levels one evening, taping a handwritten note to my mailbox. "Public nuisance, noise pollution." I shredded it. I held a pond-warming party, texting neighbors for lemonade and chairs. A dozen came, Tom with brownies, Susan with kids who loved the frogs. Marjorie arrived, filming, claiming to document a violation. I offered lemonade. She glared. A kid asked her to name a frog. Her face twitched, and she left. A county environmental officer visited, citing a hazardous materials complaint. I showed him the pond, answering questions about plants and water. He smiled. "This is one of the best backyard ecosystems I've seen. Register it with the state wildlife registry." I taped the certificate to my window, facing Marjorie's yard, highlighting ecological benefit. She stared, stunned. Marjorie's cameras appeared, black domes watching my pond. She paced at 3 a.m., ranting about croakers and a headlamp. She wore noise-canceling headphones, filed complaints, and posted Save Our Silence flyers, replaced by a sunglassed frog picture. Her petition for frog curfews got 2 signatures, one from her cousin. She blasted hawk calls to scare the frogs, who croaked louder. Kids on bikes asked if she was doing a bird show. I added a sign, Certified Wildlife Zone, no trespassing under state protection. Marjorie glared but didn't act. She tried a TV interview with Maple News, calling my pond a disruption. I showed the reporter the eco-friendly setup, earning 5 minutes on air to her 3. The Green Living Expo invited me to speak. Marjorie's plan backfired, boosting the pond's fame. A neighbor left a ceramic frog with a "no fishing" sign on my porch. I placed it by the reeds. Marjorie held a final meeting, showing a frog photo and demanding acoustic fences for croak noise. Neighbors laughed. No vote passed. The HOA sent a survey. 90% opposed misused rules and unchecked power. Marjorie's chairwoman role was dissolved. She handed out a community preservation manifesto, but most tossed it. Susan's daughter posted a video of Marjorie shoving it in a mailbox, captioned, HOA Hunger Games. A moving truck arrived at Marjorie's house 2 weeks later. Her home listed for sale, no goodbyes. I stood by the pond, coffee in hand, as it left. The frogs croaked, then quieted, like they knew the fight was over. Kids visited daily. A bench appeared, carved with Frogville. The local paper ran, Homeowners' eco-pond thrives. Neighbors sent letters, asking how to start their own. I didn't want to be a pond guru. I wanted peace, and I'd won it. Marjorie's control was gone, replaced by a warmer maple grove. Her chaos birthed something beautiful: unity, nature, and freedom. By the pond, under starlight, the frogs sang, a sound of victory, not just mine, but the neighborhood's. Marjorie fought for silence. We chose life.